Okay, so get this. In a move that has sent absolute shockwaves through the entire tech industry, NVIDIA just announced a massive investment in its oldest and biggest rival, Intel. And look, this is way more than just a headline. It's a seriously calculated power play with enormous implications, and we're going to break it all down. So yeah, that's the big question on everyone's mind, right? Why would a company that's on top of the world suddenly throw a lifeline to its main competitor, a company that's been struggling? Well, it's not a rescue mission. It's a strategic masterpiece. And in this explainer, we're going to get right to the bottom of it. The sheer size of this deal is staggering. We're talking about NVIDIA pumping 5 times billion dollars into Intel. And for that, they got a pretty nice piece of the company. To be specific, a 4% stake. Now, I know what you're thinking. 4%? That doesn't sound like a lot. But hold on. That 4% is enough to make NVIDIA the second largest shareholder in the entire company, giving them a very, very loud voice in Intel's future. But to really get why NVIDIA's doing this, you first have to understand the crisis that's been brewing at Intel. This is truly the story of a fallen giant. You know, it wasn't that long ago that Intel Inside was maybe the most iconic phrase in all of technology. But as the company just stumbled through one failed chip development after another, that famous slogan got sarcastically twisted into this one: Intel is on its way out. Ouch. I mean, the reversal of fortunes here is just mind-blowing. Intel went from being the undisputed king of CPUs, the company that set the standard for everyone, to basically playing the role of a subcontractor, just plagued by failures and even staring down the risk of bankruptcy. That incredible fall from grace, that's what opened the door for NVIDIA to make its move. Which brings us right to NVIDIA's master plan. Because let's be crystal clear, this is not a charity case. This is a cold, calculated, multi-layered, strategic power play. Their whole plan really seems to boil down to 4 key motives. First, secure manufacturing here in the US. Second, gain a ton of political leverage. Third, launch some game-changing new products. And fourth, capture whole new markets. So let's dig into each one. First up is manufacturing. See, right now, NVIDIA is heavily, and I mean heavily, reliant on one single company, TSMC in Taiwan, to build its most advanced chips. And with everything going on in the world, that creates a massive geopolitical risk. So what's the solution? Partnering with Intel gives NVIDIA access to their factories, which aren't even running at full capacity, right here in the United States. And just like that, their supply chain is diversified, and that huge overseas risk gets slashed. It's an absolutely massive strategic win. All right, let's move on to the second motive, politics. And believe me, the timing on this is no coincidence. This deal was announced almost immediately after the US government revealed its own plan to buy a 10% stake in Intel. So by becoming the number 2 shareholder, NVIDIA isn't just buying some stock. They're actively helping in a government-backed rescue of a critical American tech company. This gets them a very powerful seat at the table and creates unbelievable leverage for NVIDIA in their own negotiations with Washington. Now, for motive number 3. And this is where things get really, really exciting from a technology perspective. We're talking about a potential secret weapon, the x86 RTX SoC. So what on earth is that? Okay, think about it like this. Your computer has a separate engine, the CPU, and a separate turbocharger, the GPU. This system on a chip basically builds them together into one single, hyper-efficient powerhouse unit. You get Intel's brilliant CPU architecture fused with NVIDIA's world-leading graphics and AI. A single chip that has the best of both worlds. It's a potential game changer for the entire industry. And finally, the fourth motive, markets. Intel's chips are the absolute standard for US government agencies and huge corporations. This partnership gives NVIDIA a direct pipeline, a super highway right into that massive high-value customer base. They can sell more of their AI chips. They can integrate Intel CPUs into their systems. It makes their entire ecosystem even more powerful. So, what does this all mean for everybody else? Well, this is a massive industry shakeup, and it's creating some very clear winners and some very clear losers. So there are 2 big winners here. NVIDIA, of course, they secure their manufacturing and get amazing market access. And Intel, they get a critical lifeline and a super powerful partner for a potential comeback. But there's also one very obvious loser, AMD. A combined Intel-NVIDIA product would be an absolute nightmare. a formidable new threat to its entire business. But this might not even be the end of the story. This could all be leading to what you might call the unthinkable endgame. Is this $5 billion investment really just the first step? I mean, really think about this for a second. Could NVIDIA's final move be a complete and total takeover of Intel? The company whose GPUs were once just a small component inside an Intel system could end up owning the whole enterprise. It's an idea that would have been completely unimaginable just a few years ago. But as one analyst put it so perfectly, the IT industry truly evolves on dog years. This whole situation is just a stunning reminder of how fast and how brutally the world of technology can change.